By the time the 1970s rolled around, Burgess Meredith was a well-respected character actor, especially playing Mickey on Rocky, which got a Best Supporting Actor nomination at the Oscars. But back in the day, he was the MVP, the male MVP of the original Twilight Zone. And this episode, he played literally Satan himself. It's called Printer's Devil. Now, it was part of the hit and miss season 4 hour-long episodes of Twilight Zone, episode 111 of the anthology series. The title comes from an expression Printer's Devil, an apprentice in the industry. The initial plot setup is based in part on a well-known deal with the devil motif. A mysterious, seemingly eccentric man, played by, again, Burgess Meredith, I think this was his fourth appearance, brings success to a local newspaper by working as his reporter and linotype operator, eventually revealing that he wants the editor's soul in exchange. This hour-long episode was written by the great Charles Beaumont and based on his 1951 short story, The Devil You Say. Now, the music cues in this are quite, memorable, because it has music from The Big Tall Wish, Nervous Man in a $4 Room by Jerry Goldsmith, and various stock cues by numerous artists who have performed on the series. Now, it came out February 28, 1963, with co-stars the great Robert Sterling and the very underrated Pat Crowley. Now, in this one, Douglas Winter, the editor of a newspaper called the Dandsburg Courier, is being pushed out of business by a big conglomerate paper, the Gazette. Though Douglas is an exceptionally kind and accommodating boss, his staff begins abandoning him when he becomes unable to pay them. After his old-school lineotype operator quits, the only remaining employees of the Courier are Douglas himself and his girlfriend, Jackie Benson. Douglas is an earnest dreamer who sees the Courier as his purpose in life. Faced with his demise, he drives to a bridge to contemplate taking his own life. There he's approached by a strange man who introduces himself as Mr. Smith and says he came to town hoping to join the Courier as a linotype operator or reporter. Even after witnessing Mr. Smith's speed and precision with the machine, Doug tries to talk him out of it, saying he cannot pay him or even resume operation of the Courier due to an overdue debt payment to the bank of nearly $5,000. Ironically, Mr. Smith immediately loans him the $5,000. Now, shortly after his hiring, Mr. Smith produces a report of a bank robbery that occurred just a half hour before. Business booms for the little newspaper as Mr. Smith scoops the Gazette on dramatic news stories with special editions and sensational headlines, which sometimes hit the streets barely 2 hours after the events happen. And as a former community reporter, I can tell you our Wednesday paper used to come out on Tuesday, so it can't happen. Now, the owner of the Gazette, Mr. Franklin, offers to buy out the Courier. Though Douglas himself doubts that the Courier can stand up to Franklin's monopolizing tactics, assuming his recent success is down to luck, he refuses his offer. The day after, a fire burns down the Gazette's building. When an edition of the Courier goes on sale just 2 hours later, Franklin accuses Doug of arson. Doug has witnesses who account for his whereabouts at the time, and when he asks Mr. Smith if he caused the fire, Smith successfully dodges the question. Now, you're seeing plot holes galore. Who else could it be? Now, Jackie, still suspicious of Mr. Smith, prods Douglas for information on where he came from and says you could get rid of him now that the $5,000 loan has been repaid. Douglas refuses and becomes irritable when she asks what he was doing at the bridge where he met Smith. At last, Mr. Smith reveals why he joined the Courier. He wants Doug to sign a contract assuring Mr. Smith's continuing service in exchange for Doug's soul, which he considers quite sweet towards his tally. When Doug is reluctant, Mr. Smith uses a variation of doublethink, arguing that while he believes himself to be the devil, he is clearly mad, and to a sane, sophisticated man like Doug, things like souls and the devil clearly do not exist. Doug eventually signs the contract. Eventually, however, he comes to the conclusion that Smith is somehow causing the events that he writes about and tells Mr. Smith he wants him gone. Now, the scenes in this go pretty fast. Now, when Smith says he wants him gone, he says that it's impossible now that the contract has been signed, and writes a story about Jackie being injured in an auto accident at 11:30, an hour and a half in the future. He tells Douglas that when he joined the Courier, he modified the lineotype machine so that anything typed on it happens, and will write that Jackie died of her injuries unless Douglas kills himself so he can get his soul. In this way, Smith could immediately claim his essence and move on to other clients instead of having to work the courier for the rest of Douglas's natural life. Douglas tosses aside the offered gun and goes frantically searching for Jackie. Meanwhile, she confronts Mr. Smith. He agrees to leave town if she gives him a lift and asks to drive. Now, unable to find Jackie, Doug returns to the courier building and uses a linear-type machine to write a news story. The car with Jackie and Mr. Smith runs off the road, but Jackie is uninjured and Mr. Smith has vanished. Doug shows the confused Jackie the whole story he wrote, which says that Mr. Smith left town at 11:29 and that his contract with Doug was declared null and void due to Doug's not fully understanding the terms of the agreement. Douglas resumes running the courier, having the infernal linear-type machine destroyed and hauled away. Now, Rod Serling, closing narration, exit the infernal machine, and with it his satanic majesty Lucifer, Prince of Darkness, otherwise known as Mr. Smith. He's gone, but not for good. That wouldn't be like him. He's gone for bad, and he might be back with another ticket to the Twilight Zone. Now, why this episode is fully effective, because it makes a lot of sense. Because playing against type, you get somebody that in the previous episodes of Twilight Zone was a person who was standing up for the common man, like the nerd, time enough at last, standing up for the put upon or bullied, standing up for the people that believed in God and the state was trying to stop them. So he played a hero in all of these 3 episodes. So with Burgess Meredith against type in this one, really, really is shocking, because Burgess Meredith, who eventually became the Twilight Zone narrator in the Twilight Zone movie, has always been a person like a kindly uncle or a kindly grandfather or a kindly neighborhood best friend. And Burgess Meredith, it's almost like seeing Frank Sinatra singing a torch song or a love song. The script here put together, he just presents it in such a way only Burgess Meredith could have said those words with the inflection and the honesty. And Charles Beaumont, I mean, God bless him, he had a tough end to his life, but he could write, ladies and gentlemen. And it seemed like every word Burgess Meredith did, no disrespect to the 2 other leads, but this is Burgess Meredith. This is a guy that really stood out in so many ways. But you look at what the hour-long episodes did to Twilight Zone. Some were really, really good, and some were really, really shitty. If he would have basically done 7, took a break and come back to the last 7, give more time for the mediocre ones, maybe it would be more of an essence. But on Thursday, we leave for home, and Printer's Devil and the Adolf Hitler episode and Jezebel, there is some good hour-long episodes there, but like shitty ones like Mute especially, that was just a terrible episode, because that's one episode I'll never cover on the series, because every time I see it or think about it, I think of child abuse and, holding back a special child. Like I was held back for my intelligence when I was younger, because I was beaten up for being intelligent in middle school. Go figure. Being gay wasn't a problem in my middle school. Being smart was. If you're gay, you wouldn't get a shit kicking, but if you were smart, you would get the shit kicking. So, ladies and gentlemen, this episode, 3.5 stars out of 4, because it's hour long, 48 unedited minutes, seems a little bit long in this, 41 to 42. But I'd like to see maybe some other characters involved, maybe someone that the devil has screwed over before, and he tries to contact the Douglas character, and he eventually gets killed off. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's the latest of our, what he called, not say the Lost Twilight Zone series, but the hour-long episode season. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And don't forget, if someone offers you a contract and seems to be too good to be true, it probably is, because the devil works every place. Plumbing, wood cutting, electricity, the whole deal. Thanks for listening. Bye.